just said is wrong. The podcast is reborn today. The podcast rages on. And I won't be the last podcast.
I think that's my favorite one so far.
Yeah, I was nervous because I was like, geez, I don't have a song to rip off, so I need to think of, what's the best quote that works best for this. I was either going to do that, or I was just going to blurt out, can you believe Ray's parents were podcasts the whole time? But I'm like, that.
I would have hated it.
Yeah, that one was. It had to be a quote. It's the format of the show. It doesn't work otherwise.
I'm just relieved. I was really afraid that you were going to do that joke that you told the other day about Finn's favorite song.
Oh yeah. What is Finn's favorite song? Kissed by a Rose. Funny joke.
Is that what you call it? A funny joke?
Yep, that's a funny joke for me.
Okay, great.
Right,
no, that wasn't that. It was actually very well done. Bravo.
Thank you.
Bravo.
All right. Welcome to the Disney Desk. As always, I'm Carter.
And I'm Sydney.
How are you doing today, Sydney?
Pretty good. Yeah, we just ate some pizza, chilled out, maxed, and relaxed.
Yeah.
We're in the middle of our winter break right now from school. Yeah. So, how was your holiday?
Not too bad.
Since Thanksgiving. That was the last time we did this.
Yeah, not too bad. I got, Christmas was, just Christmassy as usual. Mm-hmm. I ate every single candy cane on the Christmas tree as always. I got 2 copies of Murder on the Orient Express.
What? 2 copies?
Yeah, my grandma decided to give me her copy, so now I have 2, and I need to figure out what to do with the other.
My mom will take it.
Really?
My mom has been, dying to see that, and we never got to.
She can
and
have it.
she read the book. Oh, yeah?
Yeah. I will warn you.
It's Mom, if you're listening, which she 100% is.
Yeah, I will warn you, though. It is the movie. It's one of those ones where they do the movie poster as the cover of the book. So you're going to have to live with seeing Johnny Depp's face. If you can stomach that.
I guess we're okay with that.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's the only trade-off, I guess we'll take it. It could be worse.
Yeah. Then I was in Boston and Salem for New Year's. That was cool. Mm-hmm. Pretty ho-hum. Nothing to complain about. How's yours?
Very good. We had Christmas at my house this year, and we had some family members coming in from out of town.
Nice.
And my grandfather came in from Texas, and we had a good holiday with him. He stayed here with us for maybe 3 weeks, and we saw Star Wars.
Nice.
In theaters, and it was amazing. Which I guess we'll get into that.
Yeah.
But it was very nice. Had a very good holiday.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
And as Sydney hinted at, we are doing something a little unprecedented in the Disney Desk canon, as it were, the 4-episode canon. We have decided that we are going to do an episode, at least partially dedicated to The Last Jedi, the latest in the Star Wars saga, the latest in the sequel trilogy, and an obsession for both of us. I have seen it 3 times in theaters.
I've only seen it twice, but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I'm shooting for 3. Hopefully soon I'll be able to make it.
I'm hoping for a 4th myself. We had a little brief debate about it, because we were like, mostly our podcast was centered around,
quote-unquote classic.
Yeah, classic Disney, either the animated, the live-action stuff centered, titled Disney or Pixar. So this is a little bit of a stretch.
I mean, I never had a problem accepting Lucasfilm into the Disney, property.
I don't either. I just thought it was a slippery slope where if we start talking about Lucasfilm, then we are obligated to talk about Marvel.
We are never obligated to talk about Marvel.
So,
that's something I actually just don't want to do.
Yeah. I think you and I are both in agreement that Star Wars gets an exemption where we can talk about that.
Yes.
But other than that, we're trying to keep it a classic. Marvel and Disney.
Yep.
Although I'm probably going to find a way to crowbar a Black Panther discussion into whenever next episode. Yeah, that might be another exemption, because god dang does that movie look awesome. Yeah, we'll cherry pick.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so we're going to do a discussion about Star Wars, what we liked about it, our thoughts.
And give just straight up spoilers.
Yeah.
So we'll let you know when that's coming.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about our favorite ships. I feel like that was...
all of the above.
Hey. Yeah, so tune in. It's gonna be a bumpy ride. I don't have a bad feeling about that. That's a Star Wars reference.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back after the bloopy music kicks in. And we're back. Real quick, we were having a discussion in between commercial breaks, as it were. You know what, board game inventors, innovators, you know what this lowly country needs right now? Dungeons and Dragons in the Star Wars universe. How is that not a thing already? Like a tabletop role-playing game where you create your own, like, bounty hunter or smuggler or, like, droid, and you go on adventures.
Alright, when you explain it that way, the idea sounds much more appealing, but when, like, you just say the words Dungeons and Dragons and Star Wars in the same sentence, like, I have indigestion just hearing those words. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that, like, just, like, gives me, like, stress, chest pain. I don't know. Like, I feel overwhelmed just hearing that. But when you break it down that way, then, okay, like, maybe that could be fun.
But all of the ships that are possible.
It's true. Yeah, alright, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, so like we said, we're here for The Last Jedi. That's the ball game right now.
Yes.
I saw it the first weekend it came out 3 times. Sydney saw it over Christmas break, and I'm in Boston exploring, and I just get a message, OMG, I saw it, heart.
I had to freak out, yeah.
And the last couple days have been just
memes.
Yeah.
Sending memes, because I have lost my mind on Tumblr. That was probably my biggest mistake, and also the best decision I've ever made, was to, like, just put Star Wars into the search engine in Tumblr. Like, I don't know why that idea came to me. I was like, let me go to Tumblr. And it pretty much opened up a Pandora's box of just memes. But all of the memes that I could ever hope for in my life. I mean, I can't even begin. Did you see the last one I sent you? About the Mulan one?
Oh, I haven't seen that one yet.
What? It's hilarious.
Oh, Lord.
Do you remember, like, that line at the end of Mulan? Where, like, Li Shang, like, comes to their house. But it's just, like, it's, like, Poe to Finn, would you like to stay for dinner? And it's, like, Princess Leia hollers from the background, would you like to stay forever?
That one. Oh, God. Yeah, this is my life now, and I've just accepted that.
Yeah, no, I'm not even trying to, like, fight it
At least
anymore.
until the
like,
next one comes out.
I've fallen into a hole, and here I am, so...
Oh, Jesus crackers. But, yeah. So, real quick, we'll give our general spoiler-free discussions of the film. Like, a real quick, maybe, like, 5-minute chat. And then we're just going to go into talking about our favorite moments, what we liked best, with no rhyme or reason. So we'll give you an indication. So, just gut thoughts.
Very, very cool. Thrilling, amazing, perfect. I loved it. Go for it.
Alright, for me, as someone who is kind of losing their faith in Star Wars, because as good as Episode 7 was, it very much was a repeat of what we'd seen before. Rogue One didn't quite deliver. I mean, I liked it, but it didn't quite...
I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, I don't blame you, to be honest.
Didn't like Rogue One at all.
Yeah, it just didn't quite live up to the promise of being, like, the new subversive Star Wars film that was totally different.
I also didn't ask for it, which is really the worst part about it.
It was the kind of thing that I didn't ask for, but I wanted when someone explained it to me, but then it wasn't exactly what I was hoping for.
Also not what you ordered, yeah.
Yeah. Then, when they announced that Chris Miller and Phil Lord were being removed as directors on the Han Solo movie in favor of Ron Howard, I'm like, oh, so this is just... Is this what we want? Just Star Wars over and over again? Just the same thing, just regurgitated over and over again? Basically, Last Jedi saved my love of Star Wars.
Yeah.
It was new, it felt fresh and real and visionary and, like, auteur and unique and exciting. It basically gave me hope for the future of the franchise.
For me, I'm, like, I'm a relatively new Star Wars fan as of this trilogy. I grew up kind of, like, just, like, watching it, like, just being aware of it, like, by association. As like my dad was, like, a huge fan, so so it was just kind of on a lot, but I never really paid attention to it and like therefore was never like really that interested in it until I saw The Force Awakens. And then so that's really when I started actually like caring about this like universe. But this movie was just, I mean, I feel like a full like just like the full Monty. Like I feel like a real like fan now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Something about it was really like welcoming, and I kind of it part of that had to do with Rey's character, because like I don't know, it sounds cliche, but like being like an outsider to like this like universe,
Yeah.
there was like, it wasn't daunting at all. It wasn't one of those things where like you had to have been like a fan and know all about every single detail of this galaxy to like understand and appreciate this.
Yeah. Force Awakens is, it was a good film, but most of what was good about it was things that existed in the previous films.
Right.
Like the tone, the energy, the humor, the, like, iconography. Like, the reason why the film got elevated to great for a lot of people is because of the characters. Because the characters were unique.
Right.
And the way, they felt unique and different from the original trilogy's characters.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're not just doing new and exciting characters, we're doing new and exciting stories, and new and exciting themes, and new and exciting concepts, and tackling parts of this universe and ideas in this universe that have never been addressed before.
Right.
And the answers to them are exciting.
Right.
Yeah. And then just, like, in terms of, like, technical, we have a director who clearly understood visually what made Star Wars unique, but isn't afraid to do his own stuff.
Right.
Like, isn't afraid to expand it, to add new visuals, to add basically a new pace and energy to it that we haven't seen before. Like, the fight sequences in this film feel like Star Wars, but at the same time look completely new.
Right.
Like, they feel like a different science fiction franchise in the best way possible.
Right.
Also, I think we can both agree, just the right amount of porg. Like, I was a little worried.
It was the right combination of like supporting critters, because like not just porg, but like the crystal critters.
Yeah.
Were banging.
Like the salt foxes.
The like fish nuns.
The fish nuns. Yeah.
Caretaker and fish ladies.
Yeah. And then, like, the casino.
And what were they called? What were those I call them horse puppies, because that's what they
look
like
to me. I don't think they ever got a name.
No, they do have a name.
Hold on, I'll look it up.
Yeah.
But I've
been calling them horse puppies.
One of my favorite things of Star Wars is, like, all the cute critters, and this film delivered and then some.
Yeah.
Where none of them overstayed their welcome.
But there wasn't too much of anything, yeah.
Fathiers. Fathiers.
I knew it was an F, yeah.
Alright.
Cool.
So that's not going to bother us for the rest of the day.
Yeah, totally.
But, yeah. Honestly, this film is like a whole trilogy worth of ideas and characters. And the fact that all of them feel like they pretty much get their due desserts. I could nitpick that I wish there was more C-3PO and R2-D2 because...
Appreciate C-3PO.
Yeah.
I wish there was more of him.
Yeah. Like, they've been struggling to figure out what to do with them. But other than that, like, every character gets their day in the sun.
Yeah.
I'm glad we're on the same page. Mm-hmm. Love the film. Thought it was epic.
Love the film. Yeah, that's the word.
It is. That's the best word for it. Epic. Like, if Star Wars is all about being a fantasy sci-fi opera of sorts, capturing, like, samurai myth and Arthurian myth and Flash Gordon-esque action and scope into a single film, then this film is the best example of that and what it can do. Yeah. All right, so ready to go into spoilers?
Yes.
All right, let's do this.
I've been dying to.
Okay, so do you want to start with what I think you want to start about?
Let's have a big finale.
Okay, yeah, no, we're saving. All right, so all of that's going to be for the finale.
Yes.
But as we were talking about, this film is really accessible to people who maybe weren't into Star Wars, or maybe hadn't really seen Star Wars before. And the best example of that is Rey, because a large chunk of the film is about Rey trying to figure out her place. Like, in her head, training with Luke, it's like, that is what she has to do, that is her destiny.
Right.
Like, there's some destined path
She was able to, like, pull herself off of whatever attachment she had to Jakku. When someone, like, shook her by the shoulders and was like, nothing is there for you.
Yeah, like, she's starting to try to move on and figure out, like, that she's convinced she has a destiny in this universe.
Right, yeah.
Like, all of this is building up to something for
Right.
her. But the big twist at the end of the film is Kylo Ren partially reveals to her, although maybe she knew the whole time, that her parents weren't Skywalkers, they weren't Kenobis, Han Solo wasn't
really
her dad.
Decent people.
Yeah,
either.
they weren't even important people.
Right.
They were no ones.
Pretty much.
They were scrapper, junker alcoholics who sold their daughter into slavery
Pretty
then
much.
wandered off and probably are dead.
Yeah. I don't know, I saw a lot of criticism, specifically about one line, when Ben says, "You are nothing but not to me."
Yeah.
And people think, like, that was, like, more of, like, a dig than, like, a genuine sentiment. But, like, first of all, does Ben really know how to be, like, soft? No.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think so yet. But so, like, this was kind of the best that he could do, but also, like, I didn't take that as he was calling her nothing, but, like, in everything that he's saying, echoing things that she already felt about herself or knew about her situation.
Yeah, like, it makes her arc realizing, because a big problem a lot of people have with the Star Wars universe is it's all based on prophecy and destiny.
Right.
Like, you have to be a Skywalker. You have to be born into the right blood.
Yeah.
Even Leia, who we all love, is a freaking princess by birthright.
Pretty much, yeah.
And turns out, and then in the prequels you find out her mom was also a queen. Like, even her biological mom was a queen.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like, no, Rey, you aren't quote unquote special in that way.
Right.
Yeah, you weren't born into greatness. You are great.
No. Yeah.
And it hurts her because she's lived in this universe where, no, you have to be born into, like, greatness. You can't just
amount
have it.
to anything.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas this entire film is, basically the entire arc of the film is, the Star Wars universe is filled with all of these people who have control of their own destiny, who have control of their own fate, who have gifts, who have potential, and now basically the universe is theirs for the taking.
Right.
And in terms of breaking Star Wars open and expanding it into, unimaginable possibility, that is the most important moment in any Star Wars film. Building up to that end where this kid who's born into slavery,
pretty much,
much like Anakin was, much like Rey was, to a lesser extent Luke, who grew up with nothing, who has whose parents are no one, probably.
Right.
Having the Force and looking up into the stars and seeing the possibility, just that whole arc, like, that hit me hard.
Right.
Because it felt so real and
right.
important. And I think that's why it disappoints me that alleged hardcore Star Wars fans don't like these films, or don't like this film. Mm-hmm. Because I'm like, basically, I don't know. I have this whole complicated, I'm probably going to end up having to write it out someday, but...
Yeah.
So, there was a, almost 20-year span between Return of the Jedi and The Phantom Menace. There was 20 years where George Lucas did nothing with the property. Was basically taking time off. He had a bitter divorce. He was kind of worn down. Mm-hmm. And during that time, the only thing keeping Star Wars going was the fans. Was the people who are playing with the action figures, who are making fan films, who are writing all these books. And for me, we are Rey. We are that kid in the sense of, we have kept these legends going. We have kept this world going. And now it's our opportunity to take those things and find our place in them.
Right.
You don't need legends to save you. They're important,
much,
but they don't define you. You define you. And it disappoints me that so many fans have taken that as Rian Johnson hates Star Wars, Disney hates Star Wars.
Oh, I got you.
A lot of the film is about, don't get sucked into legends and stories and, Luke did bad things. Mm-hmm. But it's also, those still inspire you.
Right.
That was just a kind of long ramble.
It's okay.
In terms of you, what kind of moments do you want to talk about?
You know what? What just, hit me all of a sudden? I have no idea why. It's pretty random, but I guess we should start chronologically. I don't know, from the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
First of all, I really like Billy Lord's presence, Billy Lord's visibility. Carrie Fisher's daughter.
Oh, yeah.
And I didn't expect to see her, nor do I remember her from Force Awakens. But she's
very
credited in that.
Yes.
But I really loved seeing her.
Yeah. I almost wish they would, like, canonically make her Han. Well, no, because then she has to be Han's daughter, too, and that opens up a whole thing.
Yeah.
And then she has to be Force sensitive, and that's a whole thing. But...
No. I loved seeing her participation in this whole thing. And
yeah.
then, well, I guess we should talk about Carrie Fisher, but this movie just, like, tore my heart out from...
Yeah.
It was, like, every single time she was on the screen for any reason at all, like, every single moment with her felt so important, even the really small ones.
I haven't had, like, you know, celebrity deaths didn't used to affect me as much, but this... Like, I haven't felt this way since I saw the last Hunger Games film where Philip Seymour Hoffman was in it, and I just had that, oh, he's gone. He's not around anymore.
Yeah.
And that's the way I felt about this, where I'm like, this is literally the last hurrah for a legend.
Right.
And boy, howdy, did they give her a hell of a moment to celebrate.
Right.
But yeah, the opening of the film does rip your heart out.
Yes.
Any apprehension I had about this film not being good basically ended after the opening scene, which is... Like, basically, it's right after they blow up the Starkiller base. They're evacuating base of operation, the Resistance, because the First Order's on the way and they're going to blow up the planet. Mm-hmm. And Poe leads this basically suicide mission to destroy one of their warships to give them a chance to escape. And it's a better war sequence than anything in Rogue One. Like, you know, there's strategy, there's banter, there's interaction, there's stakes, there's intensity. God, man, you could not have had a better opening to a Star Wars film.
Yeah.
Even with the Your Mom joke. And yeah, there is a Your Mom joke. I was going to talk
about the mama joke. Yeah, he really did when he was Evan with Hux.
Poe,
that was funny.
To stall for time, Poe, you know, he is like, you know, this is Poe Dameron of the Resistance. I need to speak with General Hux immediately. And then he's like, yeah, I can't hear you.
He's like, yeah, I'll hold her. And then he just goes back and forth like that.
And then he says something like, well, if anyone gets a hold of Hux, he's got a message for his mom. And...
That was funny.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. Just... God, heart-wrenching moment.
Right.
And then this woman has to make a heroic sacrifice.
The death of Paige. Oh my gosh, that was so sad. I don't know.
Like, a character we've never seen before.
Exactly. I never expected to feel so attached to her.
Yeah. They get more emotion and attachment out of this one-off character who we'll never see again in the Star Wars universe than most films get out of their main character. And that needs to be commended.
That was just... I just can't believe, like, the commitment that these people really have to their jobs. Do you know what I mean? Like, where the idea is never in their head that, like, I've got to save my own ass here. Like, she's just like, well, this is my job, and it's going to kill me right now. Like, and... Yeah. And then she just...
And then she... Oh, man, that
just descends into the flames. Like, it's such a violent way to die, too. Like... It's
just a flawless segment, to be honest. Because we go from this, like, swashbuckling heroism to, like... this actual gritty war drama into this, like, heroic, melodramatic sacrifice flawlessly. And every moment feels like it belongs with the last.
Right.
Yeah.
Should we talk about the slap?
Yeah. And then Carrie Fisher slaps Poe right in the face.
The next scene is literally just Poe being slapped straight across the face. And being demoted.
Yeah.
For this mission.
A lot of people have questioned, like, Poe's role in this film. Mm-hmm. And Poe's my favorite of the new characters. Like, I love him. I love Oscar Isaac. I love how, basically, he's, like, the reverse Han Solo. Mm-hmm. Where, you know, he's the cool guy. He's the badass who always wins. But he cares too much. You know, he cares so much.
Yeah.
Whereas Han's whole arc was going from, I don't care, to, oh, wait, now I do care. His arc is... I care.
I care a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put a bunch of people in danger.
Yeah.
For the good.
He's running this like a Star Wars film. He wants to just go in guns blazing, pull off some crazy suicide mission and win. It's like,
pretty much.
No, we need to if we're going to win this war, we need to outlast them. And I think that's a really unique and cool arc for a character. Where basically he's learning how to become the leader of the Resistance.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. What's next?
Also, like, the moment that affirmed, like, oh, this is going to be a good one, is when So the Rey story picks up right where it left off, where she's literally still handing him the lightsaber. Apparently, she's been frozen in place for almost a year and a half.
Pretty much. They've both just been standing here staring at each other
for 2 years,
this mountaintop.
Just really awkwardly.
Yeah.
He holds it. The music's still swelling. It's this dramatic moment. He just throws it over the side of a cliff.
It.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To get pecked at by a bunch of porgs and then wanders off.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to get involved. He's come to this island basically to die and kill off the Jedi lineage.
Much, yeah.
What did you think of that? Because you said, you're only just becoming a Star Wars fan, so you don't have as big an attachment to Luke as, necessarily as someone who, grew up with these as a kid.
What do I think about what Luke is doing right here?
Yeah, just, Luke's, starting spot. The fact that he's, become this grouch, this hermit, this disillusioned...
He was, I don't know, it was frustrating for me, because, for a lot of reasons, I can kind of mentally put myself in Rey's place, and I feel like I would be pissed off if I had come that way. I think Rey believes that everyone should be cooperative.
Yeah.
Because she's such an outsider, and she's, yearning for the this sort of importance.
Yeah.
So that it's gotta be frustrating for him to be like, fuck this. For him to be like, I really don't want this.
Because for her, this is the most important thing in the world. She's literally meeting a legend. This is the person who's going to train her and basically give her her destiny.
Right.
And he just wants none of it.
And he's like, actually, no, it's not what we're doing here.
I think the only reason it works is because this is Mark Hamill's best performance. I love how weird he is. He's just so weird in this movie.
He is.
There's a moment, there's the moment where he just drinks green milk out of
I was gonna say something about that.
Udder.
Yeah, there's this weird, dinosaur-looking alien cow thing. Make of that what you will.
And
he straight up, milks it somehow into, this bottle, and then
he just
drinks
it as the milk is, running down his face, and I'm like...
It's also green. The liquid is this weird green color, like a shamrock shake, but watered down.
Yeah.
Ew.
I get a lot of people really fell in love with this vision of Luke becoming the awesome Jedi Master. All the spin-off books make him out to be this badass who does everything and rebuilds the Jedi Order. But I don't know, this feels truer to me, where it's this is basically, his father destroyed the Jedi Order once. He inadvertently broke it down the second time.
I've kind of, in my mind, compared him. He's become a Lieutenant Dan kind of, person here. Just seeing, following him on his, daily routine where he's, fishing and,
Yeah,
and
it's just sad.
It's sad, but something about it is kind of endearing.
He's
straight up
angry at everyone.
a grumpy old man.
Yeah, he's an old cowboy character.
Pretty much,
who's, given up traveling out the West. Well, and also, too, because the original ending of Return of the Jedi had him, basically isolating himself on Tatooine. Mm-hmm. They described it as, he was in his full hood and robe, and he just wanders off into the desert, basically, like a cowboy character.
Right.
It's the West has been, there's no more guns in the West.
Yeah.
I'm not needed anymore.
Right.
And for me, this is the logical conclusion of that, so it feels right to me. Also, and a lot of people have talked about this and that and this and that, and it's people are how could Luke give up so easily? How could Luke run away? And it's because...
He kind of ruined things.
Yeah, because, it's what...
And he's supposed to do the opposite. I mean, he's
because this is the
hero legend, but he actually kind of created his biggest problem.
Yeah, and, that too, because one of the best segments in the film is... So basically we get explained what happened between Kylo and Luke. So we first hear it from Luke's perspective, where he's I realized he was getting too powerful, I confronted him, and then he attacked me. Then
Which that was a lie.
Yeah, which turns out, surprise, Luke was bending the truth a little bit.
Just a touch, yeah.
So then we see Kylo's perspective, where, he has these doughy eyes, and,
he's this
he
precious
looks even,
little boy.
He has an even more baby face than he already
has. Which may
has.
not be the truth either, but okay.
He's Adam Driver's 35, and he looks like he's 12.
They did make him look like a baby
so young.
somehow, yeah.
So he wakes up, and Luke is standing over him with a lightsaber, about to kill him.
Just ready to kill him, yeah.
And then we find out basically Rey confronts Luke about this and is like, is it true? And he explains.
He's like, yeah.
I saw a vision of what, I looked into his heart and I saw him killing my apprentices. I saw him burning everything I've built down and killing my friends and doing this and that.
But then I quickly changed my mind, but I wasn't fast enough, so he caught me.
Yeah, basically, he's like, I turned on the lightsaber, I thought about it, and then immediately realized it was a mistake. But it's too late because
oops,
now,
here I am.
Yeah. And they end up
Prepared
getting in a quick
to kill
fight.
you. Yeah. So.
And
that was the last straw. I mean, I would be pissed off if I were Ben too.
Yeah. Well, it's such a cool, in terms of tragic heroes and villains, that's such a cool moment. Yeah. And also, it makes sense to me then that Luke decides to isolate himself after that because this is the second time he's almost turned to the dark side.
Right.
The only reason, Luke has never won a fight against someone stronger than him. He killed Boba Fett, who only had a pistol. Mm-mm. He's killed a bunch of, guards and stuff. He only beat, he lost to Darth Vader once. He got whooped by the Emperor. He only beat Darth Vader the second time because he embraced his anger. Because Darth Vader says something like, I'll go for your sister next. And he gets so angry, he just unleashes his anger and basically practically beats Darth Vader to death. And then he realizes, oh no, I'm, basically doing exactly what the Emperor wants and sinking into darkness.
Yeah.
And then he wins because he rejects that and finds the good in his dad's heart. He's done that again. And, I think that, for me, there's a logical conclusion from that where it's I have almost turned to the dark side twice, and this time it's going to cost the galaxy dearly. I can't be trusted to fix this.
Right, yeah.
And a lot of people are like, oh, it destroys, Luke's reputation, but at the end, he basically does step up, I think one of the most important decisions is, so the very end of the film is, I know we're kind of time jumping here and there.
No, might as well.
I get, at this point, we're just rambling about our favorite stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
So the end of the film, the Resistance is basically trapped. They're on this salt planet, stuck in a mine. They've, the First Order is broken through the blast doors, and it looks like they're going to win. But then Luke shows up. But it's a younger version of Luke. His beard is shaved, his hair is black again.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important. And then the big twist is that Luke isn't actually there. He's astrally projecting himself across the galaxy, basically to distract Kylo Ren and give the Resistance enough time to escape.
Yeah.
And I love that decision to make him look younger because it's essentially rebuilding the legend of Luke Skywalker. Because it's this is the version the galaxy knows. This younger man, he wore all black.
Not this, heavier
Sith. Yeah,
Sith,
not this sadder, bearded, jaded person. And, basically the film's you can still celebrate legends, you can still myth make, as long as you don't depend on it for survival, I guess. So,
shall we move? Let's rewind and go all the way back to the beginning and meet where we left off with Finn.
Yes.
Poor Finn.
Poor Finn.
Finn is in,
basically a coma.
A coma. Yeah. They put him in this, water suit.
Yeah.
He wakes up
his very first words are Rey.
Rey, yeah, the first thing that comes out of his mouth. And then he reunites with Poe.
And Poe is just... well, we're going to get to it. We're going to have a whole half an hour. I'm just realizing how long this episode's going to be. Because we need half an hour for that.
No,
part.
Yeah. Well, anyway, his main focus at this point, since waking up, is about where Rey is. That's pretty much all he cares about for actually this entire movie.
Yeah, that's, all of his decision-making is based around that.
Pretty much.
His whole subplot. So, yeah, basically this is the point where the film kind of diverges a little bit, where we basically have 3 different plots centered around our 3 main characters. Then we cut to Rey. Her whole thing is she's on the island with Luke, basically sort of being trained in the Force, but not really. And,
she gets there. She begins her training there.
Yeah, she begins her training. Then we have Poe, who's on the ship. Basically, the main cruiser, basically what's left of the Resistance, is all on one big ship, and they are being chased by the First Order. And they're stuck in a situation where they can't go into hyperdrive because they'll be tracked, and then they'll run out of fuel. So basically, they are chugging along as long as they can until they run out of fuel. and the First Order blows them to smithereens. And tying into what you were saying is, so Finn's whole arc is kind of initially centered around Rey, because he decides to...
He is trying to make sure Rey doesn't come back to a destroyed ship.
Basically a lost... He realizes this is basically a lost cause.
Right.
And he is preparing to jump ship.
Pretty much jump ship, yeah. Even though we find out that he is, like, wildly admired for his time.
Yeah.
For whatever he did in The Force Awakens.
Yeah. He comes across, as he's trying to escape, an engineer named Rose, who is already in love with him because...
By the way, like, probably one of the most intelligent people in this entire situation.
Yeah.
But, like, just like anything else, like, the smartest people are working behind, like, tubes all day.
Well, that's a part of the, that's a part of the franchise.
Right. And she's also
the moral of the story.
sobbing because if you forgot, her sister has tragically...
Yeah, we find out that
died.
The heroic sacrifice
really
was her sister.
Right, yeah.
And she realizes Finn's trying to escape and is like, how dare you?
And
I thought you were a hero.
I think that's one of my favorite parts about Rose is that, like, she was fangirling out when she saw him and had no problem tasing him.
Yeah,
it was like, oh, wait, what? Like,
yeah.
she still had a job to do and was like, oh, F this. And,
absolutely.
was ready to turn him in. Like,
yeah. And then that kicks off their subplot where Rose realizes that the First Order has pioneered basically they can track people through hyperspace, and that's how they keep following them.
Right.
And she's like, oh, if I could just get onto their ship, I could I could disable that and give us just enough time to escape.
Right.
But to do that, they're going to need someone to help them basically hack their way onto a First Order Imperial ship. Where they're like, oh, I think we know someone. And basically that's an excuse to get Lupita Nyong'o back into the film, because any film is instantly better with her, even if it's only a voice role.
Right, yeah.
And she's like, okay, homies, I would help you out.
I'm a little busy right now.
I'm busy, so how about you go to this casino planet where a bro of mine, who's a master code breaker, is hanging out, and he'll help you.
Get him to do it.
So basically, Rose and Finn go off to find him while Poe holds down the fort, and basically his whole story is he's on the ship as they're running out of fuel, and he's getting salty because he's like,
yep,
we need a plan here, man. This is bad. This is real bad.
They're pretty much on the run. This is all based off of a parking violation.
Yeah.
Which I was like, is this really what they are going with? Like, I don't know why I was like, this is the best they could do for, like, violations.
Because it's a rich person planet, so they're naturally going to find any excuse to arrest these two ruffians.
I guess, but I mean, like, I guess you're right. Okay, they'll find any excuse. So I guess parking violation is the worst. But they did it. I mean, they did kind of put their ship, like, on the beach.
A nice beach. Yeah. Rich people can still be scum and villainy. Just,
they are.
Their stuff is nicer.
Pretty much,
they
They just don't look dirty.
Yeah. So that was cool, and it's just another excuse to introduce a lot of cool critters and stuff.
Right, yeah.
And that's basically, like, a lot of people have been tough on the Finn and Rose subplot, but it really is where you get the emotional heart of the film.
Yeah.
Basically, she's like, all of these people have made their fortune selling weapons and material to the First Order. Like, they don't care that they are living under an oppressive autocracy because, they don't have to suffer. They're rich enough that they don't have to suffer consequences for that. Whereas people like her, who grew up in a poor mining town, do suffer. And, that's like the emotional heart of the film. Like the idea of like the little people finally rising up to, fight for their freedoms.
Right. And this is the scene where we could get introduced to just like blatant child slavery and also animal cruelty.
Oh yeah, just
sound familiar?
Didn't expect that to be in a Star Wars film. But here we are.
But here we are. Yes.
Someone suggested that sequence should have been pod racing instead, and it would have been a cute homage, but it wouldn't really work if it's just vehicles, because then it's like, well, that's nothing's getting hurt, I mean, the kids are still being mistreated, but it's like...
Yeah, but like...
The whole point of this is exploitative, and if it's just a machine, that's
then
not...
who cares? Yeah.
Like, maybe if it was something involving droids, like they forced droids to. I really do feel like that's something the Star Wars universe needs to address, that all the droids are basically slaves.
Slaves, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Honestly, the most legitimate comment I've ever heard about the Star Wars franchise is when David Fincher was being asked to direct Force Awakens, he said, For me, Star Wars is a story of R2-D2 and C-3PO. Basically, these two slaves who get handed from master to master, seeing the folly of their master, and by extension, the folly of man.
Pretty much.
And then he obviously didn't get the part for
and they were
Force
like,
Awakens.
"We'll call you."
Yeah, we're going for a slightly bouncier tone.
Right.
So, but yeah, so Resistance fighters,
Pretty much. Well, they aren't really, but
yeah, Finn and Rose break out along
proof.
with all the animals. We
Right.
get this cool. I mean, it's a cool chase sequence, but I definitely think they probably could have trimmed it a little bit.
Yeah.
The music's great. I will say, if I was going to nitpick Force Awakens or Last Jedi, I would say I'd like a little more original music, not the stuff from the original trilogy. Only because everything John Williams writes for these new movies exclusively is very, very good. The March of the Resistance, Rey's theme, which is like the little flute solo, and this chase sequence music that almost sounds Danny Elfman-esque, like really like mysterious and bouncy. Like I really dug that. So then BB-8, Rose, Finn, and DJ all escape.
Let's jump to the end of Rose's story.
Which is, on the Salt Planet.
Right.
Yeah.
How she, I guess we were supposed to believe that she isn't really dead, but she pretty much saves Finn.
Yeah.
By kind of throwing herself in danger. And and then here we have a kiss, which, okay, listen, I'm all for like the ships or whatever, but like I actually
that one felt forced.
I didn't want this.
Yeah,
I didn't want
kind
it.
of forced.
It felt unnatural somehow, and it didn't feel reciprocated.
Yeah.
In like not actually like the physical kiss, but also like
the
he
affection.
seemed confused.
Yeah,
more than anything.
More like,
he was like, what?
Cool story, bro.
Yeah. He literally was like, great.
Yeah,
he had concern for her like as a person, but also was like, what do I do with this information now? Like,
No, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we were saying, the final, basically, like, the characters break off throughout most of the movie only to reunite on this salt planet where the Resistance is holding out. Basically, the First Order has a giant Death Star cannon that they're going to use to blast open this door.
Finn just thinks he can just
drive a
fly
ship.
into it?
Yeah, which I think one important thing that not a lot of people have talked about is no one ever said that plan would work. No one is like, you would actually stop this and save the day, Finn. Like, everyone's like, why wouldn't she let him sacrifice?
Everyone was like, you can't do that, Finn.
Yeah. Like, everyone is always like, why is Holdo allowed to sacrifice herself, but Finn's not? It's like, because we didn't know that would work.
Yeah.
Like, he probably would have just gotten vaporized, and then the cannon would go off anyway.
Right. She also didn't run that plan by anyone else. She just went for it.
Yeah.
on
like,
a whim,
that was a, we really don't have any other options here plan.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, and it's like, I like that moment of Rose sacrifice, saving Finn.
Yeah, and she said a really cool sentiment there. About what we're all doing here, after all.
I'm kind of on the fence, like...
About what she said?
Yeah, like, we'll save the things we love, not killing the things we hate. And I'm like, it's a
not
nice
literally.
line. Yeah.
Because we still need to kill
we still need to kill that.
Before they kill us, at least.
By the end of the film, BB-8 has a death count. It's a good sentiment, but for that moment in the film, I was expecting her to say something like, we're going to win by surviving and fighting for each other. Like, I guess it's the same sentiment, but it's more like the idea of, like, we're not going to win this war by having these stupid suicide missions, by doing these, like, heroic sacrifices.
Right.
We're going to do this by working together and outlasting and, like, being smart.
And not just trying to be a solo hero.
Because when you say, like, oh, we're going to win by protecting the things we love, when you're talking about love versus hate, for me, I think of that moment from The Simpsons when Ned Flanders' house gets destroyed, and the entire town teams up to build it, but because none of them are construction workers, the entire house collapses. And Marge says something like, well, we built it with love, and Ned goes, my family can't live in good intentions, Marge. Basically, I wanted Finn to say something like that.
Pretty much.
Because as she's saying this, the laser shoots off and blows up the door. I wanted him to be like, well, the Resistance can't survive on good intentions, Rose.
Yeah, but it was cute what she said. But
either
way,
she's a cute character who I think is a much needed addition.
Oh, I love her. Yeah, but her end result on this whole thing really confused me, and it's probably one of the things that I don't like.
Yeah, I probably could have used another pass in terms of writing.
Right, but just because now it also bothers me that we've got another person in a coma. Because, like, I thought we were, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, we had, after The Force Awakens, we had to think about what Finn is going to do now.
Finn
So
gonna
now
be
we're
paralyzed?
back at, like, exactly. So I don't like that we're kind of back at square one where we're like, okay, here's another brand new character that did a bunch of things we learned about them, and now they get to sit in a coma until to be determined. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That bugs me, actually.
Yeah. I also like with Rose, though, how she's not, quote-unquote, cool. Like...
No,
Finn
she's
is,
a dweeb. I think she knows that, yeah.
Like, Poe is the coolest mother effer in the galaxy right now.
Mm-hmm.
Rey is cool because she's mysterious and just naturally gifted.
Right, she can, yeah.
And, like, she's resourceful. And Finn is cool because he does have this, like, because of the guys, he's the rebelliest of the rebels. Because he, like, broke out of the indoctrination of the First Order and is, like,
and also
butt.
tried to just, like, straight up leave the Resistance.
Yeah. Well, I mean, once you get past the fact that he's a double deserter.
Yeah,
like,
actually, exactly.
Well, that's, like... You feel like Finn isn't in that much of the movie, but he actually has a pretty satisfying arc because, like, the film starts with him like, I only care about Rey, I'm going to bail and try to protect Rey, to I'm going to sacrifice myself to protect the Resistance. Like, at this point, he is committed.
Right.
Like, it isn't more of a friendship of conveniences with the Resistance.
Right,
He's in it for the long haul now.
Pretty much.
I will say, though, so he has a fight with Captain Phasma. Like, basically, like, the two moments where the plots unify are everyone is either on the Star Destroyer or in an escape pod trying to get away. Mm-hmm. Where, and we'll talk about the last 30 minutes of this film in more detail in a minute. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, so... Basically, the Star Destroyer is burning to the ground. Captain Phasma shows up and is like, yo, you son of a gun, getting real tired of your shtick. Yeah.
Yeah, here we go again.
And, well, that's what I mean.
I've been waiting on you.
Yeah, it feels really unearned, because we haven't seen Captain Phasma do anything.
Right, yeah.
And, like, her and Finn have interacted so little, it's like, what is this animosity?
I don't know. Well, he was supposed to have put her in a trash compactor.
Yeah. Well,
which apparently never happened.
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm not going to complain about a cool fight, because it is a well-shot fight of them just, like, bashing each other with, like, sticks.
Yeah.
And then...
That is what they do, actually.
And I will say, that shot, there is a shot, like...
We get to see her eyeball.
Yeah. I think a part of it, too, is just, like, that's one point where, like, the modern slang gets a bit too much. Like, I don't mind it. Like, I like how they've modernized Star Wars, but, like, when Finn says, like, bring it on Chrome Dome, I'm like... I never really thought I'd hear a phrase like that in the Star Wars universe.
That
it feels weird.
Ninja Turtle-y, doesn't it?
It does.
Seems like a shredder, like something they'd be like.
Yeah, that's like something I'd expect.
It's a really Mikey thing to say.
And I'm like, I don't think that fits in the Star Wars universe.
I think they really only give him those lines.
Yeah, and they really, I mean, they give.
Because what's that other thing he says where he's like?
Like the Poe mom
trash.
thing. Yeah.
What does he say?
Rebel scum.
Rebel scum.
And like Poe has a line like that when he's talking about the mom thing. But
even that is like
not as bad.
That's fine.
Because it's still like,
fine.
It's still more timeless dialogue.
Right.
In terms of like, he doesn't actually say yo mama.
It doesn't feel bro-y. And Finn's lines feel bro-y sometimes.
Yeah, and it's like, I understand John is like his actual personality is like a little bro-y. Have you seen his Twitter?
Yes.
Yeah, he just records all these parties he's at. No, I love him too.
Him as a person.
Like, I almost think that line was improv on set, and they're just like, yeah, let's just go with it.
Alright, you can have it, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a part of it. But, yeah, that shot where Poe bashes her, or, God, I keep getting Poe and Finn mixed up, because they're basically a unit for me. Like, I ship them hard. But, anyway.
They're a singular being.
Yeah, Finn bashes her in the face, and it breaks open her mask, so you see her eye. And I'm like, that's...
Gwendolyn Christie's eye.
No, that was a cool moment. It's just a cool shot.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah, that was worth it, for that shot. And like we said, this is the point when it's like, all is lost. Like, how are they going to get out of this one? BB-8, well, we see a walker start moving and shooting all these stormtroopers. And in your head, logically, you're like, oh man,
Whoa.
DJ, yeah, because, so DJ, the hacker guy, basically betrays them.
Like,
he's like...
He can be bought.
Yeah, he basically gets bought off where he's like, yo, I know I can give you this cloaking software so you can see that the rebels are secretly trying to escape through a bunch of stealth, escape pods.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, give me a ship and some money, and yeah, we're all good.
Make it happen, yeah.
And apparently his original line there was, sorry, I turned out to be exactly who I told you I was. And I'm like, yeah, that basically covers it.
All right, yeah, that's all we needed to say here.
Which, I mean...
But I actually really appreciate what he does end up saying.
Yeah, where he's like,
When Finn's like, oh, you're wrong, da-da-da.
It's like, yeah, maybe, but
like,
today
right.
I'm not.
Right, yeah, exactly. I like that a lot, actually.
Yeah, he's like, don't take it personally, because you guys will blow them up tomorrow.
Right, you guys will be able to buy me out later if you want.
His whole arc is basically like, he's like, yeah, the rich people are giving selling material to the First Order, but also they're selling...
look, the good guys
the
as well.
Resistance.
So this is
basically
a
business. Basically the idea that war is a never-ending cog of, people being bought out and blowing each other up.
Right.
The reason why Holdo's in power is... So Kylo Ren and his gang of, fighters start blowing up the main Resistance ship. And there's this epic moment where he senses his mother, Leia, and he's about to pull the trigger, and Leia has a look on his face like, don't do it, son. No. Doesn't do it. But then his other two ships fire. That was my heart ripped out, because I'm like, no. And you just get this... Oh, it's such an upsetting shot of, Leia knows they're about to get blown up, and it's a wide shot, and then the back of the ship just explodes, and she gets sucked out into space.
Right.
And I genuinely was like, no.
Terrifying, actually, yeah.
And then she's floating in space, and you're like, oh my god, she's dead. But then her hand starts moving.
Right.
And she flies back into the ship
explanation
using
for
the
this.
Force.
No, I don't really need an explanation.
Yeah,
that's okay. Fine, we'll go with that.
Yeah, I will hear nothing bad about this segment. This is the last time we get to see Carrie Fisher.
Exactly.
She has earned this, and it makes sense. She's force sensitive, and
that's true.
I don't know. It's a cool moment.
I love it. I have no complaints.
But yeah, she also goes into coma.
She's like a real life angel. Yeah. So after she uses
this
the last of her her energy,
Force
and then
powers.
She's like, I'm
out for a little bit.
Out.
Yeah. I will say, now that I think about it, you're absolutely right. There is way too many character in a coma in this new franchise.
I know, it's exhausting.
Yeah,
come on.
You can only get away with that once, maybe twice, and they've done it 3 times now.
So far.
So this person, Holdo, takes over, this woman with purple hair. I like the purple hair, personally.
I like it, yeah.
I think it looks cool.
I saw her pop vinyl figure. It's
really
cute. Yeah, in purple.
I want that. Poe is... Well, I like Poe because when... someone's like, there's only one person who can take command. Poe has a look like he assumes it's him. And then it's like, nope.
Not you, my guy.
Yeah. Because he's been demoted, yeah.
Yeah, and she knows all about you, too. She did not need an introduction. She was like, oh, you, great. Yeah.
Basically,
can't wait to work with you.
And then when Poe finds out that they're, loading up the escape pods and, the tinier ships... he decides to start a mutiny because he's like, the only way we can do this is this suicide mission. Finn and... I almost called them Foe. Wait, is that what we agreed on? Is it Pin or Foe?
It was for Poe and Finn?
Yeah, which one have we agreed on? I prefer Foe. Pin sounds silly.
I don't think... On Tumblr, they just put the names together. It's it's Finn. It's Finn Poe.
Okay, Finn Poe.
Yeah, that's one word.
Is that a comment on which one is... You know what? No, I'm going to stop there because that's getting too graphic. This is a kid's show.
You don't have to say it anymore.
Yeah, you get it.
No, yes.
But anyway, yeah. And then... he's in a full-blown mutiny. And that's actually the one moment I really like with C-3PO where he's like, I can't abide by this. And he's like, yeah, well, then you can leave.
Get out of here, you're right.
Ultimately, though...
Are they always so rude to C-3PO?
It's always been that way. Because no one likes him.
I like
because
him.
Because he's nasally.
No, he's not.
Whiny. He whines all the time.
I disagree. Oh, come on.
No, I like him. I mean, I like him and R2-D2.
Right.
They're my favorite 2 characters.
But I never realized that, people are shut up, shut up. They just, they're so mean to him.
That's how it's always been.
I never realized that before.
Yeah, no, it's...
What reason? Doesn't he have feelings?
Yeah, everyone only likes R2-D2. And that's basically this film, too,
Come
because
on.
R2-D2, finally reunites with Luke, and it's this actually super sweet moment where he's, really happy. And then, they make... And it's like, hey, watch your language, buddy. But anyway, yeah, so then Leia regains conscious just long enough to shoot Poe in the face with a stun gun.
Yeah, that's where she wakes up. She comes out of here like Delarice, like an angel.
That's such a great moment.
And then she just like shoots him in the chest. Yeah.
And then finally she's like, "Listen, buddy, there's a planet right there with rebellion
We're just
stuff.
gonna chill.
Like, chill,
please."
Yeah, and then yeah, and I guess that explains. Come to think of it, it's actually pretty easy to explain the plot of this film when you just sit down and talk through each part.
Right.
But, yeah, so all of this builds up to the last 30 minutes where... So, Rey is convinced that she can turn Kylo. They've been communicating with each other throughout the whole film.
Force connection is what the internet seems to be calling it.
And we're going to have...
Their
that's
Skype
some
calls
shit.
is what I call them.
Yeah, and we'll get into how ship material that is.
Yes.
But, yeah, so basically they unite... She goes to the ship. Luke is like, no, it's not going to work. This is a disaster. And he throws a hissy fit where he's like, I'm going to burn down, like, basically, like, the last remnants of the Jedi religion. Like,
and the
a bunch of texts hidden in this tree. He's
going
to burn it down. Then, surprise, Yoda shows up. Like,
and is like, beat you to it.
Yeah, he's like, all right, do it.
Stuff?
And then when Luke
he
is
can't
like...
do it, yeah.
Yeah, when Luke is like, I can't do this. Because deep down he's like, no, maybe we can do this.
Right.
Yoda's like, lol.
Oh, oops, yeah, lightning
Apparently
strike.
Force Ghosts can call lightning, which sets up a whole bunch of, like, possibilities. And that's my favorite.
Yeah, that thing exploded. Yeah, so it's really game over for that.
Yeah. And, like, Yoda's cackling. I love how Yoda's depicted in this.
Yeah.
He's just, like, a weird... Like, he's
like,
weird again,
old man
which
child.
I like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he just dresses down Luke, like,
Look, bro.
He's like, look, the texts are important and whatever, but Rey knows all this stuff herself. It's nothing that Rey doesn't already know.
Right.
Like, this is the same...
You aren't using it to teach her anything,
Yeah.
so...
You have the same problems that you've always had, where, you're always looking into the past and not focusing on what's important, and also you can never accept your failures. Basically, the arc is, like, learning from failure is more important than anything. And that's what I love about this film. Like, most of the big plans they have ultimately fail, but they learn from them.
Right,
and they survive in spite of that. Because way too many films these days, it's like, if something fails, it was deliberately intended to, so they could set up something else. It's like, haha, you fell into my trap.
Got it, yeah.
Or it's like, no, these were plans that didn't work out, and they're going to survive in spite of that.
Would work. Yeah.
Where this wasn't a trap, this was, oh, shoot.
Yeah.
That was our plan.
Just didn't do this right.
Yeah, no, I love Yoda. I wish, that's one of my fanboy nitpicks. I really wish Obi-Wan showed up. But Rian Johnson gave a pretty good explanation for why not. He said, as much as I would have loved to get Ewan McGregor to come in, because the original actor for Obi-Wan, Alec Guinness, has been dead for a very long time now. And he's like, Mark Hamill has only interacted with Alec Guinness in terms of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, the guy who played Yoda originally, Frank Oz, he's still alive. So he could do the voice, and it would still be, like, that same connection. Whereas this would be a new version of Obi-Wan, and it wouldn't have the same touch. And while I can concede that, just, for me, the connection was always Luke Obi-Wan. It was never really Luke Yoda, even though they trained together. But that's just fanboy nitpick. I will say, just to talk a little more about the sort of island subplot.
Oh wait, we haven't finished talking about the Force connections.
Oh yeah, but that's true. Well, real quick, because that's building up to the last half hour.
Okay.
Real quick, personally, I loved everything on the island because I love how it's a subversion of the Yoda-Luke training sections where, like, Luke is always pushing against Yoda's training, whereas Rey is advocating to be trained and Luke is pushing against it.
Right.
Basically, he teaches her all of these anti-lessons where it's like, he teaches her what the Force is and then it's like, see, it's something beyond the Jedi and the Sith. It's so arrogant to think you can control that.
Right.
Or he teaches her about the history of the Jedi and how they, like, blew everything. And I like that as, like, a deconstruction of what we were expecting. Anywho, so, yeah, so they're having these intense Force connections. They meet up.
Right.
They
start out really angry, but then
they realize they're not so different.
Just talking to each other, yeah.
Which, in reality, they're not so different. They are the two characters, in terms of, like, the new characters, they are the two characters who have been friends and connected to every single one of the original trilogy characters. Like, Ben is Leia and Han's son, and by extension, he's related to Luke Skywalker. So
Right.
he's blood connected to all of them. Whereas Rey met Han Solo and became like a sort of mentor-mentee.
Yeah.
She met Luke and tried to train with him, and she knows Leia.
Right.
So they are the two characters who have this real, tangible connection to the past.
Yeah.
And whereas, like, Ben has always pushed against it and resented it, Rey has, like, tried to connect it and is always
Right.
disappointed.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So they meet up. After
So they meet up.
Yeah, so they're like, they get on Tinder and they're like, yo.
They're pretty much, they Skype each other and they're
Yeah.
like, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah, you up?
You up? Yeah, pretty much. That literally is what it comes to at a
Basically.
certain point.
Yeah, so they meet up and Rey is like, yo, you're gonna turn, it's gonna be great, you're gonna be a hero again. And
Yeah.
Ben's like, LOL, I saw a vision where you turn evil.
You're going to turn.
Yeah, you're gonna be evil, and we're gonna be evil bros together, and wear black and red, and be cool, bro. And then they get into... Yeah.
Are we missing something there?
No, I don't think we are, because then they get to Snoke's
We'll get
room.
back to it, yeah.
Yeah, they get into the red room.
This is
the very red
also
room.
no. Before this is where, and we talked about this before already. When Ben talks about what really happened between him and Luke, like
Yeah.
when he tells his
Yeah,
story of where
that's
he pretty much
a
tried
big
to
part
murder
of like
him.
the force bridging stuff.
Yes.
Like that's what sets off all of this.
Right.
So they see Snoke, and Snoke is like, LOL, I'm the one who connected you. It was me all along, because I am the evil villain, and that's what my role is. And now, Kylo, do what you want to, because I can see into the future, and I know you're going to take a lightsaber, and you're going to turn it
kill
on,
someone.
and you're going to kill your enemy, the bad
Your true
guy.
enemy.
Yeah. Like,
the bad guy, which is also who I am.
yeah, which, whoops, as it
Happens
turns
to be
out,
me.
it was me. He gets cut in half.
In half
I
horizontally.
love how horrifically violent these new movies are in terms of, like, let's really think about how it would feel to get
Physics.
stabbed and sliced with a laser.
Right, like through your abdomen horizontally.
And this basically leads to the greatest, possibly my favorite 30 minutes of film all year.
It gets intense from here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Rey gets the blue Anakin Luke's lightsaber back. And I love that shot where she catches it as we watch Snoke's body, like, topple because it's not attached anymore. Then we get this really intimate moment where they're looking at each other. Kylo turns on his lightsaber. Then, in slow motion, they flip around.
They both, go back to back.
And just start
The most
fighting.
epic fight scene ever.
I think it's the best lightsaber
Oh my
fight
gosh.
by a mile. Just in terms of, it's choreographed, but not overly
beautiful.
choreographed.
Yeah, but in a way that, everything
super
happened.
organic.
Yeah.
Where it's these are people reacting in the moment to
Right,
combat, and they just happen to fight beautifully.
Right.
It's shockingly violent. It's all
It is really
neck
vile.
slashes.
Yeah.
Someone gets punched into a turbine and explodes.
Right, yeah. Some dude, remember when he, he just kind of impales the one guy, straight in the center of his chest?
Yeah.
And then, uses the weight of that guy's body to, knock someone else
Yeah.
over,
Well, that's what I mean. In terms
That's
of...
crazy.
Yeah. Star Wars started as this blending of, Arthurian legend and, samurai fights. And this captured that really well in terms of just, the weightiness to every slash
Right.
and how violent it is. And how, basically it's all a game of leverage where you're, shoving
Pretty
people
much.
into other people and,
Right,
trying
as long
to,
as they land on the or near the lightsaber, they're out.
And then someone gets stabbed right through the face. The lightsaber's
Yeah.
off and then on, and then his
he
face
just
has a hole in
clicks
it.
on. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we could talk about how incredible... honestly, it's the kind of scene you just need to see for yourself to really know why it's so good. It's just gorgeous. It's well shot.
Right.
Every motion. I love how it characterizes both of them. Again, Rey is new to fighting with a lightsaber, so she kind of struggles,
It's a
but
bit sloppy.
succeeds through, sheer grace and power.
Right. Yeah.
And Kylo is just a beast.
Pretty much.
Terrorizes everyone. There's a moment where his hair's dripping down and he just holds up the lightsaber in front of his face and just starts moving it around, pointing at people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just I'm scared. Yeah, just wonderful.
Amazing.
So then it's yeah,
we did it.
Yeah, we did it. We're gonna
We
save,
did it.
we're gonna save the Resistance. And Ben is like, No. Yeah, like,
Actually,
I'm still bad.
Right, yeah.
Like, we should let all of this
And
burn down.
he keeps talking about letting the past die.
Yeah.
But okay.
Which, again, that's like, he's had to live in the shadow of these legends his whole life and wants them to be destroyed. Whereas Rey has wanted to be a part of this and realizes she can be something greater. And I love that as, like the dichotomy, because the whole film is trying to break out of that binary of the light side and the dark side. But even once that's broken, it's like, these people are still the way they are. They're still good and bad people. They're still people with noble intent and evil intent. And, yeah, I think that's really cool. And as this is going on, this is when the whole Rose subplot breaks down, where they get caught.
Pretty much.
What
we talked about with
the
Captain
rebel
Phasma,
ships are getting blown up.
And,
And that leads to this moment. So, and just for a minute, you think Rey might join him. Instead, she reaches for the lightsaber. And we get this moment.
He's got his hand out.
Yeah. We have this moment where basically they're fighting over Luke Skywalker's lightsaber. Basically for the future of the franchise. In, metaphoric terms. And they're fighting as all the rebel ships are getting blown up. As Rose and Finn are about to be executed with laser axes. God. Like, because Phasma's like, no, a firing squad is too nice. Let's make this hurt. And I'm like, would it really hurt? It'd certainly be messier and more dramatic. But so
it hurt more than a firing squad, but okay.
Yeah, it's basically the all is lost moment, like, captured in this, like, and keep in mind, Ben and Rey are using the Force right now, and they're so powerful they're literally sliding across the room. Like, the room is shaking. And that's when Holdo, who decided to stay on the main ship as, like, a distraction, decides, I need to
use it as just a
battering
weapon.
ram. Yeah. She turns the ship toward all of the First Order fighters and hits it into hyperdrive, creating maybe my favorite movie moment of the year. Oh my gosh. Where all of the audio, all the audio just cuts out, and we just have this visual of all of the ships cracking in half with this, like, white light.
Right.
One, just in terms of artistic decision, gorgeous, brilliant, intense. Literally, I've never heard that many gasps in a theater before.
Right, yeah.
Two, like, a problem we're running into with special, like, someone, this guy Folding Ideas on YouTube really pointed this out, where he's like, the problem with modern animation, or modern special effects, is there's only so many studios and so much technology, so everything's starting to look the same because they're all using the same tools and ideas. This is like nothing we've seen before. I've never seen something like this. And, like, oh man, it just, I don't know. Like, in terms of, like, emotional weight, like, because we've built up, like, literally all has been lost. Like, we're having this dramatic moment where the two, like, surrogate fan characters are fighting for the future of the franchise. Our two commoner characters are about to get executed. The Resistance is being blown to bits. Like, all of this is built up, and then just silence.
Right, yeah.
And then we just have a moment where we, like, reevaluate everything. Or just, like, have a breath before we get to the second finale.
Oh, God.
So, yeah, basically Ben takes over the First Order. Because Hux, basically, I love that he's ready to give up. Like, he's like, he's like he's a hacky neo-Nazi, and he's not even good at it, because he can't conceive, like, he's like, the Supreme Leader's dead, we have no ruler, what are we supposed to do? And
Ben's like,
Ben just chokes him out, like,
pretty much,
I'm the captain now.
I almost feel bad for Hux.
Because he's so sniveling and
right, yeah.
The whole film is basically him getting made fun of and getting, like, beaten up.
Throwing tantrums.
Yeah, Snoke, like, smashes him into the ground using the Force.
Right, yeah.
Ben chokes him out. Then Ben later, like, shoves him into a wall. So then, basically, that's how we get to the Salt Planet, where all of our characters are reunited again. Basically, the plan is to hold out until other planets can come and help out. Rose, Finn, and Poe, realizing that the First Order has all of these walkers and a battering ram on the planet, are driving these little skimmers to go mess with them. And then we get that awesome moment where Rey finally shows up to save the day
Oh,
in the
here we
Millennium
go.
Falcon, which I
Yes.
love because it's like now she's Luke and Han.
Right.
And that's also when we realize Chewie has decided to take a single Porg home with him, which is
they all stow away, remember?
Oh, I thought it was just that one Porg.
You don't remember seeing that nest of Porg?
Oh, yeah, but I assumed they, like, threw that out, because you only really see the one.
What do you mean threw it out? They were there.
I guess. But, like, yeah, so there's now the Resistance. The one thing it was missing, Porgs. That's what's going to turn the tide.
Gotcha. That is their key to survival.
Yeah, this is how we're going to win the war.
Yeah,
by
Porg.
porging it up.
Yep.
So, yeah, they, they're flying around. And that might be
are we going to talk about how Chewie was actually, like, trying to eat a Porg?
Oh, yeah. Chewie has a Porg, like a rotisserie chicken.
A rotisserie Porg, yeah. No, he
in
actually
his mouth.
defeathers and roasts one of them.
And
but
then
I
a
think
bunch
he
of
gets
them
guilted into not eating it.
A bunch of them just stare at him with
Yes.
these wide eyes of betrayal. And then he scares those ones off, but then there's just one more, like, crying. Like, its eyes are watery. Yeah, basically
That's
Chewie's whole
heartbreaking.
role in this film is to be,
Babysitter.
continually frustrated with Porgs.
With Porg, yeah.
Until he eventually takes them on as his, like, emotional support in the wake of Han Solo's
emotional
death.
support Porgs. That's perfect.
Yeah, so they're flying around. And that might be my favorite Ben line. So Ben goes, I want all of our fighters, because, like, Finn, Rose, and Poe all look like they're in trouble because the TIE fighters are basically blowing all their forces off the ground. And Ben, instead of focusing on the actual threats, goes, I want every one of our ships to blow that piece of junk out of the sky!
Yeah.
Like I love
that
how
was pretty bad.
childish and, like, again,
I know,
he's
yeah.
simultaneously terrifying, but also a petulant
Really
child, where he's
is.
like, I want them to blow that ship out because it reminds me of my dad.
Right.
So, yeah, and then that gets where we get to the sacrifice, and that's like, all is lost again. Aw, man, we just got over the last all is lost moment. And then Luke shows
There's
up.
a couple of those before we actually get to the end of the movie. But
Yeah, then, yeah, we have Luke has somehow arrived on the island. I actually do like, they show his X-Wing in the water on the island. I like that that's how you set up, like, oh, how he theoretically could have gotten here.
Right.
So he goes out. Ben is like, even though, well, Ben has everyone shoot at him.
Tries to just annihilate him for some reason.
Until
Not just kill him, but with every single gun.
ship they have.
Yeah.
Until there's nothing but a cloud of red dust.
And that was also one of the funnier lines in the movie.
Oh,
when
you think
Hux
he
is
got
like,
him?
do you think you got him? Like,
He did not.
I love the humor. He didn't,
Yeah,
no.
the humor's great because it's, like, modern and quippy, but
Right.
not, like, distracting.
Overdone. Yeah.
It won't feel dated.
Right.
Other than maybe the word Chrome Dome.
Yeah,
we
can throw that one away.
Yeah, again, that's another line that probably should have been workshopped for another week.
Right, yeah.
Like, on set, like, hey, let's do a couple rehearsals where we just try a couple different things.
Where we say this line a couple times.
Yeah, maybe just improv something, John, see what you're feeling.
Maybe what if this was the best he could do?
Yeah, it's like, it's alright,
This.
Peanut, just experiment with a couple.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
But, yeah, so then Kylo is like, alright, I'm gonna fight him. And then they get into this dope fight where basically Luke just dodges him, just does all these crazy
isn't
acrobatics.
fighting him. Yeah, he's just kind of doing these like
so
Matrix
cool.
style
dodging. Like he does like a 900 spin.
Right,
and lands on his feet, even though that's physically impossible.
Yeah, it really isn't a fight. He's just kind of pissing him off a little bit more.
Yeah, meanwhile, Rey and the gang, or Poe and Finn are escaping. It looks like they're trapped.
They figure out that he's doing out here, but...
Yeah, because they're like, oh, wait, he's just distracting so we can get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like they're trapped because there's a giant rock wall. But then Rey is like, oh,
they
right,
follow the
Force
crystal
is
critters.
about,
Oh, lifting rocks, yeah.
Yeah, because originally Rey is convinced that the Force is just telling
Picking
people what
stuff
to do and picking up rocks.
Yeah.
But
at the end, that's what she...
has to do to
is
save
her
the
last duty, is to pick up a ton of rocks.
And then Rey and Finn have the most
Reunite,
passionate hug
the most
I've
amazing
ever seen.
friendship hug ever in the galaxy. Probably my favorite scene of the whole movie.
Oh, yeah. And then, that's where Ben is like, the rebellion's over, the war is over, I'm gonna kill the Last Jedi. And Luke is like, no, you wrong, bro. The rebellion's restarted. Like, this is a reboot, sucker.
Part
Soft
2.
reboot. And I won't be the Last Jedi. And then we have that awesome bit where, well, Luke has his, like, if you strike me down, I'll be more powerful than you could ever imagine line.
If you strike me down in anger, yeah.
Yeah. So...
And that's exactly what he does.
Ben just books it, slices, and you think you're going to see blood, but instead you just see Ben's feet sliding along the red, and it's like, ooh. And then turns around, he's fine. Turns out, astral projection.
JK.
I wasn't even here.
Boom.
And then, but unfortunately, using that much power finally drained Luke.
Right.
He looks out, sees the twin sunsets, much like his home on Tatooine, and disappears, presumably to be a Force ghost in the next movie.
Right.
Ben realizes he's been had. Rey and the gang escape, and it's like, oh man, how are we going to start a rebellion with this? And Leia's like, I think we have everything we need. And you see all the characters, and like, if the movie ended there, I would be like, yeah, that's a good ending. But then it decides to have a great ending. We go back to Canto Bight. The kids are recreating what just happened, because, you know, Luke's sacrifice is now...
telling the story with little figurines they made.
Yeah, Luke's, you know, sacrifice is now being told around the galaxy, as they were hoping.
We also see a child who seems to naturally have some degree of command of the Force. Yeah.
I had to see it twice to make sure I saw that
figure that
right.
out.
He pulls a broom toward him.
Yeah, and it's just that tiny... is so subtle, but you're like, why can you do that? Yeah.
And then he looks out. Turns out Rose gave him the resistance ring.
Yeah.
And now he's staring out into stars, and I'm like... That's a great ending. Yeah, I had tears in my eyes.
Yeah,
I'm like,
amazing.
To be honest, I kind of wish that this was the start of a trilogy. To be honest. Like, yeah. Like, make episode 7, like, a separate entity. Make it, like, a prequel to a new trilogy. So, like, you know how Rogue One is in between episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6? As, like, it's, like, a prequel sort of bridge.
Yeah.
Make episode 7 the same thing, and then make episodes 8, 9, and 10 its own trilogy. Because I love...
Episode 7?
Yeah. And I know they wouldn't do that.
As in The Force Awakens?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or just make it Star Wars The Force Awakens, and then rename episode 8, episode 7, and do 7, 8, 9 as its own. Because I think this is such... Like, Force Awakens introduces us to all these characters, but the ending of Last Jedi is so much more of a, like, start of something new. Where it's like, we have a new rebellion. I don't know. At least that's how I personally feel. But, yeah, I mean...
Interesting.
Yeah, like we said, it's just, like, every character gets a satisfying arc.
Yeah.
Like, the last 30 minutes are just goosebumps.
The greatest 30 minutes ever created.
Yeah, both in terms of visuals and, like, emotional weight.
Right.
Like, I think that's why I end up saying that this is, like, my favorite Star Wars film. Because as good as Empire Strikes Back is, how much does it really have to say? This film has so much to say.
Yeah.
Both in terms of, like, real life and also just about Star Wars. Mm-hmm. Of, like, you know, like I was joking that moment where they're pulling the lightsaber apart is, like, basically two people fighting for the fandom of Star Wars.
Yeah.
But, like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's such a brilliant moment, and I don't know. Like, there's very little wrong. It's so hard for me to come up with any criticisms other than the casino moment probably runs on a little too long. I don't see why Luke didn't have his green lightsaber. I want to know more about the First Order rank and file guys. That's about it.
People, like, there seems to be, like, redundant comas happening. Like,
yeah, and let's nip it with the comas a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, can Rose already be awake by the time we start the next movie?
Yeah, please.
Like...
Because I don't want to have to do this all over again.
Yeah. Other than that, yeah.
Alright, so are we ready to ship it up?
Yep, it is time.
Here it goes.
So this is why we were most motivated to talk about Star Wars.
Yeah, honestly.
Because 99% of what Sydney has sent me about this film is...
It's just about Chip.
Yeah.
Just about the different ships that are existing. Well, really just about how everyone is in love with Finn.
Yes.
The end.
Finn is
like, the center of everyone's affection.
People call Rey a Mary Sue, and I'm like, Finn is like, a typical thing about a Mary Sue character is that everyone loves them unconditionally, and I'm like, that's way more indicative of Finn.
Right.
Because we got Rey, like, because Rey clearly cares a lot about Finn, because there's multiple times where he's like,
oh, all of
anyone
those
here
moments.
from Rey? Anyone here from Finn?
If you hear anything from Finn, or that, and I'm dying to know what Chewie said to her when he was like,
"Oh, it's very
Finn
obvious."
Before I do.
He said, "Brah, brah, brah."
"Oh, okay,"
Yeah,
and that was
on.
perfect. That would have been perfect to tell him.
It's great.
If you say so. That moment, though, but yeah, she seems to be thinking about him just as much as he's thinking about her. Yeah, that's the weird thing. It's like he only cares about her, but like everyone is fascinated with him. Like all of these characters are like
Rose
Finn.
just kisses him out of nowhere.
Right.
Captain
she's
Phasma,
a fangirl from like the jump. She's like,
oh yeah,
I love you.
Captain Phasma like loves him because she's willing to get in this like big fight. Even though we haven't seen them interact at all, Poe okay, I do want to say, I feel like we're misinterpreting Poe a little bit, just in terms of... So, him and Rey meet technically for the first time.
Oh, here we go, yeah.
Apparently there was a deleted scene from Force Awakens where they met, and some people are like, wait, is that not canon now? Or